So someone asked if I could do something about Bitcoin, talk about it. And I've been thinking about cryptocurrency. Well, actually, they said cryptocurrency, not Bitcoin. But so I used to collect, as I said earlier, as I was letting people in, I used to collect coins and bills and stuff like that, mainly because I love the history. I find the history interesting. So you can't really talk about cryptocurrency without kind of understanding how your current bills work and how that money works. Because in some ways, cryptocurrency and United States bills are just as fake together. Like they are backed by nothing in many ways too. So I wanted to kind of show stuff. So let me kind of, they're in shiny cases, so hopefully the reflectiveness isn't too bad. But let me kind of pull some of these back and just show you some stuff here in a row. So this is our current $5 bill, right? You've seen it, most likely. It's more colorful than the old ones used to be. It says Federal Reserve note at the top. This is the bill that came before it, a little bit more bland. They added purples and other stuff for security features. This is the more similar looking bill that I grew up with, though this one's from the 70s. I didn't grow up in the 70s, but they looked like this from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Notice how it still says Federal Reserve note at the top. Now take a look at this bill. This one's from the 50s. Maybe it's a little bit harder to see. It's roughly the same look from this bill from the 70s. This 50s here one says silver certificate. This one says Federal Reserve note. What's the difference? Well, Federal Reserve note is basically debt. Silver certificate is actually backed by a metal, the silver. You could take this to a bank and say, give me $5 in silver. So I have a couple of dollars in silver here. These are a dollar coin in silver. This is called the Morgan dollar. This one's from 1879. Trying to make it so it can be seen. It's called a Morgan dollar by people who collect coins because that's the artist. This is called a peace dollar. This was minted, I think, after World War I, called peace, as it says peace here at the bottom, and it was minted, the US silver dollar was minted after World War I. So that peace was achieved. So these are the most common US dollars that people associate. They're not bullion, these are actually real silver dollars. They don't have 1 ounce of silver. They're they're supposed to be an ounce of silver, but I think they're not like 99% purity. I forget the percentage, 85% or something, or maybe 75%. I can't remember. It's not pure silver because pure silver dents very easily. So they put some stuff in it to make it a little bit of a harder metal. But these you could exchange for the bills. You could say, you know what, I want the coin instead of the bill. This was just a representation of actual real hard currency. So here's our current dollar bill. It says Federal Reserve note. This one is from 35. See, silver certificate. It's backed by real stuff. Here's an older bill. Notice the size difference. These are called horse blankets because they're larger. I don't know why they call them that, but I've never owned a horse, so what do I know? I thought horses were way bigger. My main difference on this bill that I have is the back. The back is much different looking. The front is fairly similar, just larger. But it's a silver certificate. You could turn it in for silver. This one is even older. Let's see if I can see the date on it. I forget. Oh, I think it's worn out a little bit, but actually I think it's supposed to say 1917. So this one isn't even, this one's a little bit older than here. I just love the artwork on them. They're nice. In the circles of people who trade and buy these things, this is called the sawhorse dollar bill because of this thing on the back. It's rather beaten up. I bought it only for the history, just because it's interesting. But the other thing that caught me off guard, I was expecting it to be a silver certificate. But it says down here, United States note. Now, I don't fully understand the difference between a United States note and a Federal Reserve note. But as far as I do understand, a Federal Reserve note is basically debt. We're printing out money that truly doesn't exist. And the United States note is actually backed by something. It's not backed by silver and gold like the standard was. It's backed by something else. Now here's the problem, and here's the thing that you have to understand. Oh, here, I forgot I wanted to show you this this is a Mexican silver dollar. I got this one because in the West, even in America, it was way more common for Americans to use the Mexican silver dollar than it was for them to use this, these coins. These are the coins of the West, even in America. They preferred to use the Mexican silver dollar because in that side of the world, they were already using the Mexican silver dollar. So it made more sense to keep using it for a while. But I do want to show you something, all this stuff aside, is this bill right here. Notice the denomination. It's a $10 trillion. There's even a bigger bill of $100 trillion. This is what inflation looks like. This is unfortunately what our government is aiming for, it seems. There's been a few times in history where governments have inflated their money beyond reasonable value. It happened to Germany in between World War I and World War II, and definitely gave rise to Hitler because he was able to economically bring the country back from the inflation that was so bad, people were burning the money for heat, using it as wallpaper because it was cheaper to use the bills than to actually buy real wallpaper. So this is probably the worst case of inflation in our modern time. In Zimbabwe, this is in Africa. Everybody's a trillionaire in Zimbabwe, but nobody's rich. If you just keep printing and printing and printing money like our government is doing with all types of plans of stimulus packages, and our debt is just going out the roof. It's not a Democrat problem or a Republican problem. It's both of their problems. And they're basically robbing our future and printing it in the now. And I'm not sure how we can fix it, to be honest. But Bitcoin is interesting because currencies are pretty interesting. So I tried to do some research, like I said, and so I've got some videos for us to look through and dig through, and you can see them over here. A few videos. I looked at a lot of videos, a lot of videos, and I'm trying to get you some stuff that I felt were probably the best explaining out of it. It's complicated. I'm still not understanding it all, but let's try to learn a little bit together.